What if everything you believed about Harry and Meghan's picture-perfect family was nothing more than a carefully staged illusion? What if the smiling photographs, the choreographed moments, and even the adorable children you thought you saw were all part of an elaborate performance? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, buckle up, because shocking new claims suggest exactly that. And this time, it's Tom Bower dropping the bombshell. His leaked photos and revelations from the Disneyland trip, supposedly to celebrate little Lilibet's birthday, have completely flipped the story. Instead of a magical day out, whispers say it was one of the most carefully staged deceptions in the Sussex saga. And let me tell you, this isn't just gossip pulled out of thin air. This isn't another exaggerated tabloid headline. No, this is a story that forces us to confront the unthinkable. Were the children seen at Disneyland even real? Or was the entire spectacle an illusion, engineered to shield a crumbling brand? Now, Disneyland is supposed to be the happiest place on Earth. It's where families laugh, kids skip around with balloons, and birthdays become glittering memories. But for Harry and Meghan, the so-called magic that day was manufactured with precision. According to insiders, they weren't there for family fun. They were there for business. Yes, you heard that right. The whole Lily's birthday celebration was nothing more than a corporate arrangement. Disney allegedly shelled out a jaw-dropping $750,000 for their appearance. And why? Because Disney itself was knee-deep in scandals, suffering from a sinking reputation and desperate for a star power injection. Enter Meghan and Harry, Hollywood's royal export. But here's where the plot twists. Because the biggest problem wasn't about Meghan's star turn or Disney's shaky image, it was about the children. Insiders claim the kids at Disneyland weren't even Harry and Meghan's real children. Instead, they were stand-ins, doubles, carefully brought in to maintain the illusion of a loving family. And if that doesn't make your jaw drop, listen to this. The real Archie and Lilibet never even set foot inside Disneyland that day. So what exactly happened? Well, apparently there were conditions. Disney may have offered the cash, but Harry refused to bring the real kids unless the company agreed to cover their full security costs. Disney flat out said no. And Harry, haunted by the risk of cameras, leaks, and possible threats, left the real children at home. The result? A staged show. 2 adults, 2 supposed children, and a multi-million-dollar company desperate to patch up its crumbling image. But wait, the story only gets stranger. Guests and staff at Disneyland that day noticed bizarre inconsistencies. They started whispering. Things about the children just didn't add up. First, there were apparently 2 different versions of little Lilibet. At one point, a smaller child was seen tugging away from Meghan, visibly upset, crying, and refusing to cooperate. Later, a taller Lily appeared, almost the same height as Archie. The switch was so obvious that even Disney employees couldn't help gossiping about it behind the scenes. And then came the photos. Oh, the photos. Instead of polished royal-style birthday attire, the kids looked ragged. Their clothes were shabby, their appearance unkempt, almost as if no one had bothered to dress them properly for a royal birthday. One child was barefoot, of all things, and another was even spotted holding, wait for it, a knife at the table. Yes, a supposed 3-year-old clutching a knife during what was marketed as a wholesome family celebration. It's a disturbing image, to say the least. Instead of happy little ones munching on cake and ice cream, witnesses saw tense, restless kids who seemed like they were fighting over scraps. And Meghan? Well, Meghan wasn't exactly stepping in to comfort or care. On the contrary, her behavior that day became the talk of the park. Witnesses describe her as rude, dismissive, and entirely self-absorbed. The focus wasn't on her children, it wasn't on the birthday girl, it was on Meghan. She was the star of the show, in her own mind at least. At one point, she even wore the Minnie Mouse hat herself, while little Lilibet wandered around in a shabby dress. Imagine that. The child's birthday, yet it's mom who dresses like the princess. For Meghan, it seems, the spotlight is always hers, no matter the occasion. But none of this should shock us. Meghan has a history of inserting herself at the center of events that should have belonged to others. From the infamous spat over Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid stockings at William and Kate's wedding to storming off Hollywood stages in a huff, Meghan's need to dominate the scene is practically legendary. Disneyland was just another chapter in that ongoing pattern. Instead of maternal warmth, what people saw was cold performance. Instead of joy, what they got was brand management. Instead of family bonding, they saw a carefully choreographed act. And what about Harry? His role in this bizarre Disneyland saga adds another chilling twist. Insiders say Harry was deeply uneasy throughout the trip. Not because of paparazzi, not because of unwanted attention, but because he believed his real children would be merched. That's the word he allegedly used. What did he mean by merched? According to him, it meant Disney could film or photograph Archie and Lilibet, and then use or sell those images without his control. He knew the drill. It had happened before. He himself was filmed at Disneyland alongside Princess Diana back in the 1990s. If it could happen then, what's to stop it now in an age of smartphones and viral videos? So, Harry drew his line in the sand. No real kids unless Disney footed the bill for complete security. Disney refused. The compromise? Use stand-ins. It was practical, it was cold, and it left the world questioning everything. But even with his so-called caution, Harry couldn't escape criticism. Witnesses describe him as distant, awkward, and detached, showing little warmth to Meghan or to the children. This was not the picture of a hands-on, loving father he once promised to be. No, at Disneyland he looked like a reluctant participant in an elaborate performance. Now, to fully grasp the magnitude of this scandal, you've got to understand Disney's situation at the time. The company was under siege. Bob Iger, the CEO, was battling plummeting profits, a wave of controversies, and even internal scandals with big names like Jimmy Kimmel dragged into the mess. Disney needed good publicity, fast. They needed to project magic, family values, royalty. And what better way than to roll out Harry and Meghan, the couple with global fame, a polished narrative of breaking free from the monarchy, and an image as doting parents raising a modern royal family? But the move backfired spectacularly. Instead of wholesome magic, Disney got chaos. Crying children who didn't look like Archie or Lilibet, Meghan's allegedly rude behavior, Harry's cold detachment, and staff whispering about stand-ins. The irony is staggering. Disney, the global empire built on selling illusions, partnered with a couple accused of living inside an illusion of their own, and together, their facades cracked wide open. But here's where things get even juicier. Because the Disneyland fiasco wasn't just a PR stunt gone wrong. It was a mirror reflecting how deeply Harry and Meghan's entire image is cracking. And believe me, this isn't the first time the royal family has been caught in the glare of scandal. Think of Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, accused of selling access for money, drowning in debt, even whispers of blackmail just to keep her protection. The monarchy has always carried skeletons in its closet, from Prince Andrew's appalling ties to Jeffrey Epstein to Fergie's endless financial disasters. Yet Harry and Meghan's scandal is different. Why? Because at the heart of their narrative are their children. Archie and Lilibet aren't just kids in their story. They're the props, the symbols, the shields. Sometimes they appear, sometimes they vanish. Sometimes, as we saw at Disneyland, they're replaced altogether. And the most shocking part? The media rarely dares to challenge it. Photos that scream photoshopped go unexamined. Footage of Meghan storming off is conveniently buried. The contradictions are ignored, all to preserve the perfect family image, but the cracks are showing now, and Disneyland ripped them wide open. Think about the haunting little details from that day. A little girl, said to be Lilibet, tugging her tiny hand away from Meghan, crying, desperate to escape. A barefoot child wandering around at what was supposed to be her own royal birthday party. Or the most disturbing of all, a toddler clutching a knife while cameras clicked away. These aren't the images of magic and joy. They're unsettling, chilling even. And then, layered on top, there's Meghan in her Minnie Mouse hat, smiling like the spotlight was hers alone, while the children faded into the background. Can you imagine the contrast? The mother shining while the kids look neglected and uncomfortable. It's a picture that says more than any official statement ever could. And then the contradictions keep piling up. Why was this supposedly Archie's very first Disneyland trip when he was nearly 6 years old? Most children dream of it from the moment they can talk, yet suddenly, out of nowhere, he's whisked into Disneyland for a staged birthday appearance. Then there's the bizarre swapping of Lilibets. One smaller and distressed, one taller and closer to Archie's size. Were they really both the same child, or were two stand-ins rotated to cover for inconsistencies? Even Meghan's own words don't add up. She once claimed Archie asked her, "When is my birthday?" Excuse me. What 6-year-old forgets his own birthday? Kids that age count down the days. It sounded less like a child's innocent question and more like a badly rehearsed anecdote. And we can't forget those infamous Mexico photos. The ones of Archie so obviously doctored that shadows didn't align, proportions looked warped, and the whole thing screamed fake. These patterns, stacked one after another, paint a damning picture. If the moments were real, why do they always look staged? If the family was authentic, why are we constantly left with questions? That's why the Disneyland scandal hit like a thunderclap. It wasn't happening in some private corner where excuses could be made. It was at Disneyland, one of the most public, most photographed places in the world. Millions of families take their children there every year, capturing genuine moments of laughter and joy. And yet, here was Harry and Meghan, with children who may not have even been their real children, presenting an image so hollow that even casual witnesses saw through it. The irony is painful. Meghan has fought tooth and nail for royal titles for her children, reminding the world at every turn that Lilibet Diana is, on paper, a princess of royal blood. Yet at Disneyland, that so-called princess was dressed in a ragged dress while her mother wore the crown, or in this case, the Minnie Mouse ears. It's the same pattern we've seen over and over with Meghan. She speaks endlessly about empowerment, about raising her voice like Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Yet she uses that voice not to uplift, but to tear down. Whether it's Kate Middleton, Princess Charlotte, or any critic who dares to cross her, the hypocrisy is staggering. And now, with Tom Bower leaking those damning photos and insiders finally speaking out, that narrative is unraveling. The illusion is cracking. Harry and Meghan wanted us to see them as the ultimate modern parents. Independent, free, loving, authentic. But the world is beginning to see the truth. Behind the glamour lies a couple consumed by money, control, and image. A couple so desperate to maintain their grip on relevance that even their children become pawns in the performance. The Disneyland scandal isn't just another tabloid rumor. It's the clearest, most public evidence yet that the fairy tale has rotted at its core. What was supposed to be happily ever after now looks like smoke, mirrors, and shadows. A dark reminder that not every castle is built on magic. Sometimes it's built on lies.